Morning, guys. Is everybody able to hear me? Okay, good. So we'll just wait a few more minutes for everybody else to join this session. This week, we will be looking at some of your draft reports that you've submitted, and I will be using them as examples for the types of feedback that we will be providing. This session is in no way to single out certain groups or, publicly not humiliate, but publicly make an example of. Up until this point, I've been having issues trying to sign into Moodle, and I only got access granted yesterday. So I've only been able to go through a handful of reports, and it just happens that some of these groups I've had a look at. But don't worry, you'll be getting the same sort of feedback for your reports, and that should be coming in hopefully by the weekend. So what I'll do is I will look at each one of your reports. I will read the thing all the way through. I will give short notes and comments here and there, and then I'll send it back to you guys, and you guys can use those to then make the required modifications. Is that clear to everyone? If you have a question anywhere along the way, feel free to either type it in the public chat or unmute your mic and ask. So are you all able to see my screen at the moment? I'm on Google on the submission portal. Are you all able to see that? Okay. So this is your first semester for most of you in your USP, and we use a thing called Turnitin to check for plagiarism. It's a software that scans through your whole report and makes comparisons with internet resources or other papers that have been published to the USP server. And then at the end, it comes up with a number value of how much the software believes you have plagiarized another person's work. Now, there are certain flaws with this software. It doesn't recognize when you do in-text referencing or when you put a reference. It won't distinguish between a reference piece of work or just a written piece of work. But in most cases, even if it does pick up on those similarities, your plagiarism will only come to 2, 3, 4% at most. Okay, so if you get a plagiarism percent higher than that, you need to start being careful about how you phrase things and how you paraphrase the information you get from other resources. So for this project and for every other project in USP, the threshold is from 0% to 15%. If your plagiarism is over 15%, you have to make a lot of changes. If not, you won't be graded and you'll get a 0 grade. Is that clear to everyone? Please, if you're just listening, mute your mic. Okay, so this is the submission portal for your draft report, and I've gone through the first 3 pages of this submission, 9 pages in total. And I want to show you a few examples of the types of plagiarisms that we're getting, okay? So in this session alone, we have one group here that have a 69% plagiarism. So if you're part of this group, I believe it's the bridge, project 19. Arfa, I think you're part of that group, if I'm not mistaken. So your group has come up with a 69% plagiarism report, which is very, very bad, okay? Because that means you have plagiarized majority of someone else's work. And as a result, you'll be getting 0 grade if you stay with how you've written it so far. So you have to make changes. Let me just open up the Turnitin. Again, I said I'm not picking on certain groups. These are just the groups that I've happened to have a look at so far. So you see how it works. It'll highlight which bits of the text it believes have been plagiarized. So in this case, this can't be avoided. So don't worry too much about that. You have the names, and then it starts. And then it starts highlighting bits of text which are very similar to a certain resource. And if you click on the side, you can see which resource has the highest similarity. So in our case, it's resource 1. Now, this was a paper that was submitted to the University of the South Pacific. Are you all able to see my screen at the moment and what I'm looking at? Because I want to make it very clear as to how we can check for plagiarism. And you know, you might think that you're taking a shortcut or you'll get away with it, but I promise you, you won't. Okay, so we can see the resource, 59% is the same. And now we have, it was submitted to USP. We can also click on that and then we can see the exact details of when it was uploaded. So obviously your group has plagiarized from a report that one of your group members has done last year. And I can even download that original paper and then make the direct comparisons between the two. So please, try your best to stay away from plagiarism. We're trying to breed a culture of hardworking, ethical engineers here at USP, and plagiarism is the complete opposite to that. So this was the report that was uploaded last year, and the biggest plagiarism comes from your literature review. So I would suggest that you guys go back and you reword your whole literature review, because as it stands at the moment, you'll be getting a 0 grade. Is that clear, Alpha? Seeing as you're the only one from your group that seems to be online at the moment. Okay. So now that we've talked about plagiarism, I'll just go ahead and go through the types of comments that that I might pass when I give you feedback on your report. So cover page is fine. Your introduction. When I read through this, you have to be very careful about the words that you use. Okay, the words that you use will dictate the story that you're trying to tell. So there are other examples of this in your introduction, but I just singled out one where you've said nearly, which throws doubt into the validity of the research or the information that you're providing, okay? This bridge has been constructed nearly 3 times. Now, do you mean it's been constructed 3 times exactly or 2 times and needs to be reconstructed 1 more time? You have to be very specific and very careful about the words that you use all the way through your report. And this goes for everybody, okay? Because there are other examples in other reports where people just add words to try and make sentences longer when they could have shortened it down and made it more concise. Hold on, let me just show you what I'm looking at. Okay, you all able to see my Word document open? No? Oh, okay, so this is what I'm looking at. Your cover page is fine. Good to go. Introduction. as I was saying, there's certain words, there's other examples in this introduction where you've used words that kind of throw doubt on the validity of your information. So you may want to exclude this word nearly. And this goes for other people as well, because other people have also added words which don't help tell your story. Sorry, my computer seemed to be frozen for a minute. Okay, sorry. Are you all able to hear and see me again? Sorry, I had a technical difficulty. Okay, so at the end of reading your introduction, I feel like you have repeated yourself or your main points in a lot of the paragraphs that you've put in here. I feel like you could have condensed this all into one single paragraph, simplified it down, and at the end, also mention the types of processes and the tools that you'll be using throughout this project. So you may want to start the next paragraph with, this project will look at and so on and so forth. This project will look at the design of a bridge using the engineering design process, using the 7 steps or whatever, the engineering design process. The group will also be using AutoCAD to develop detailed sketches. You know, just a short brief so that anybody who reads the introduction will be able to understand what they're supposed to expect from the rest of your project. Okay. Problem statement. I thought your problem statement was very good. I really like your problem statement, the way you've worded it, the way that you've been very specific. I think your problem statement was done very well. Design brief, it's just supposed to be a sentence or two. So this is fine, okay? Sums up what you need to try and design. Your literature review. Again, this is where you got the bulk of your similarity index. So please go back and reword this. Arfa, if you can pass this on to your fellow group members, just so they understand what they need to do. This is the incorrect referencing type for images. Okay, you don't just put an image and then you paste the URL that you got it from. If you guys want, and if you guys let me know in the chat or in the Viber forum that you need a extra tutorial on how to format reports, just let me know and I will conduct that tutorial session if it will be beneficial to you. I don't want to do it if you guys aren't interested, but it's important skills to learn now at first year so that you can carry it on all the way through the next 4 years of your studies. Okay, so again, I said your literature review is fine. You have a lot of interesting points. You may want to look into the more useful use of subheadings, because there's big paragraphs and big blocks of information. If you could break it down into smaller, more manageable paragraphs under different subheadings, so that it's easy, it's a nice flow of information. I would recommend that, because you have some subheadings, but you may want to break it down into even minor subheadings. But the bulk of information is fine. It's just that it's got a very high plagiarism and you need to reword it. These are my few points on your literature review. You may want to look into the limitations of the bascule hydraulic bridge, because you've talked about all the good things about it, but you haven't talked about any of the limitations or its suitability for remote application. So does it make sense to have a technical bridge in a remote area? You might want to discuss that. And again, bear in mind the effective use of subheadings. Okay, design criteria. Your design criteria is taken from both your literature review and your problem statement. So there are certain things here, certain numbers that you've thrown at us in the design criteria that I think you need to be more specific on where you get this number from. So namely, you've said it has to have at least 30 traffic, withstand the weight of at least 30 traffic. Now, is this foot traffic? Where did you get the number 30 from, first of all? It's spanning 10 meters, so there's no way that you can fit 30 vehicles on a 10-meter long bridge. So maybe you'd want to change this to say it has to be able to withstand a certain weight instead of a certain number of vehicles. Safe for students and teachers and villagers to cross. What do you mean by safe? Okay, might be just a bit more clear on what you mean when you say safe. Do you mean like safe handrail or safe to cross when there's floodwaters, or like, you know, might just want to be more specific on the certain words that you use. And there's only 5 criteria here. I feel like for a bridge, you could have a lot more criteria. So what about the height that you have to build your bridge at? You know, height above the river, the cost that you think it's going to be incurring, the materials that you might want to use. If you're going to use hydraulics, you need a power source. So where are you going to get that power source from? You've mentioned in your literature review that you're going to use motion sensors. What motion sensors? How far are you going to place them? What will it be sensing? And for a bridge, maintainability and maintenance is a very important thing, okay? It's something that's often overlooked for bridges. You have to mention how long you think your bridge should be able to stand there without having to maintain it. So you can say you want it to have an effective lifetime of 10 years before maintenance. Just technical things like that. And again, these are all my recommendations, but if you don't want to listen and you want to just carry on with the way that you're doing it, that's fine. But bear in mind that we'll be marking it to what we're expecting. Is that clear, Arthur? And to everyone else. Okay. So design criteria. Possible solutions. Now, I know I said that you can hand sketch your possible solutions, but is this really the best drawing that you could do of a bridge? I feel like this is a very rushed possible solution. There's been no thought given to this possible solution. And I feel like it could have been done a lot better. So please, if you're going to stay with this basic design, that's fine. But please make it a bit more detailed, you know, label your drawings, make sure that the title goes above the image. Just simple things like that. If you want to stick with the truss bridge, that's fine. But please bear in mind that a picture tells 1,000 words. And I don't think this picture tells even 2 words about what you're expecting this design to do. So please look into this, okay? Possible solution 2, concrete arc bridge, that's fine. It's labeled, everything, that's fine. And your bascule hydraulic bridge. Again, I feel like this drawing could have done with a lot of labeling. It could have benefited from some labeling, because at the moment, I can't see any of the hydraulics or how it's gonna work. So there, and my comment for the end of your possible solutions, I just want to make something very clear. We cannot tell you that your possible solution is bad, okay? Your possible solution needs to improve in this manner. We can't tell you that the fundamentals of your design is wrong, because it's all up to you guys. We just mark whatever you come up with, your creativity. So we can't give you input, but we can say, point out certain tips and tricks that you might want to use to improve your possible solutions. So all the way through your literature review and all of that, you've talked about the bascule hydraulic bridge. But then come to your possible solutions, you start talking about concrete arc bridges and truss bridges, which you haven't mentioned anywhere in your research. So if you are going to use those as possible solutions, you have to justify it with the information behind it. And that comes in your literature review. So if you're going to include your arc bridge, and your trust bridge, that's fine, but you have to put them in your literature review somewhere. Is that clear? You can't just come with random ideas, put them into possible solutions, and have one possible solution that we can tell you've obviously already decided is going to work. Because then what's the point of the evaluation process? Okay. And for this group, I just want to make something quite clear and something that we will be very strict on. For repeating students, we have a list of all the students that are repeating this unit, okay? And we have all of your previous projects that you've done before. So for you guys, one of your group members has already done this project last year. And the possible solutions we can see are very similar to the ones you had last year. So which tells me that you are on the same path that you've already followed last year. Okay, and this doesn't, and I'm not singling out the person who is repeating the course. I'm talking about the whole group because you're all complicit in this. You have to come up with new designs. You have to follow the design process to its full. Okay, you can't try and shortcut and just use the ideas that you've done before because you got a grade for that. Because if you do that, you'll be getting a 0 grade this time. Is that clear to everyone? Thank you. So possible solutions are fine. Evaluation hasn't been done yet. You need to conduct a thorough evaluation. I've talked about the evaluation process in another tutorial video that I've conducted, but you'll basically be using a weighted decision matrix, and then you will be justifying the scores that you give each one of the possible solutions for each category. If you want the details, I recommend that you go to this YouTube page. I'll just type it. So just go to that YouTube page, and I have a tutorial video already uploaded from Monday or Tuesday, where I talk about the evaluation process that you guys have to follow. And the reference, please, when you're doing referencing, we're using IEEE standard, and make the most of Word. MS Word is a very powerful tool. It gives you a lot of different tools that you can use, and referencing is one of those tools. So please use MS referencing when you're doing any of your reference work. Okay, so that's one group. I'll share another group. Hold on. Okay. Is there anyone here who's part of the Dune Buggy project? Anybody attending the session? Sorry?
Me.
Jason. Okay, set. So you'll be able to relay information to your group members, okay? Are you all able to see their project on my screen? Okay, great.
Yes, sir.
So this project is a Dune Buggy project, and reading through it, I was very impressed. You've done it very well. You followed all the steps very well. There's a few points where you might want to improve, but all in all, I'm very impressed. I want to use this as an example of the importance of formatting. Okay. So for table of content, this can all be done using Microsoft. Have you used the Microsoft table of contents to do this? Jason, do you know?
It can be done, but Vishal did the last final layout.
Oh, okay. All right, so If you want, I can do a tutorial video where I show you how to do all of this, table of contents, referencing, all that kind of information. If you would like, just let me know in the Viber chat and I will conduct that session. Table of contents is fine. Introduction, make sure that it is back at the top of the page. Okay. Reading through your introduction, it's a very good introduction, very concise and straight to the point. I liked it. You may want to refrain from using phrases or terms that people use in normal conversation. Like this, people also say that time is money. Now, yes, it's something that we say, but in a technical report, you never put those kind of things in. Okay, so try and refrain from those kind of things. Personal pronouns, our group, stay away from personal pronouns if you're doing a technical report. So you say the group looked into creating a dune buggy, so on. There's just certain statements or phrases where I think you can rephrase it to make more sense. I get the general idea, but it breaks up the flow of information. Problem statement. I get the idea that you're trying to get across, but I feel like you could have been more elegant with the way that you phrase your problem statement. So I've given an example of how you may rewrite this last sentence. You don't have to use it. It's just an example where it makes more sense and it kind of gives a bit more information than your current sentence does. Is that clear, Jason? I'm not saying that you have to do it this way. I'm just giving an example of how you might want to rephrase it. Set. So problem statement's fine. Like I said, this project was very well done. Design brief, very good. It's straight to the point. Background research. Now, you have not done any in-text referencing for any of your information in your background research, and that's a very important part because that lets us know that you have actually used resources and you haven't plagiarized. So if you're going to make statements about information, you have to include an in-text reference. All of your figures should have figure numbers as well as a caption. There's a figure number here, but I don't know which figure he's talking about. And there's no caption as to what's the difference between these two images. I thought that this paragraph was unnecessary. So a lot of you guys have included a history in your literature review. Now, if the history doesn't actually influence the way that you will go about your design process, don't include it. Okay, don't do it just because it's something else that you could put in the literature review. For some people, a history would be useful for obscure designs. But for a dune buggy, I don't think that knowing who made it or who first came up with it and in what year is important information. So you may want to get rid of this subheading because it doesn't really add any value. But I like the way that you've broken down your sections of your literature review into these subheadings. You know, they're nice, short, concise subheadings with powerful information. Again, you just need to include your in-text referencing. A big prop that these guys have done is that they've used a lot of images, which is very, very helpful. Because if you just talk about it, it's kind of hard to visualize. When you start adding images, it makes your literature review a whole lot better. So if you guys haven't used images in your literature review, I recommend that you go back and you start including images. Make sure that you give it a figure number. These guys are giving it a caption, that's good, but also include a reference. So again, just the in-text referencing. And another example of a word that didn't really need to be used. So this, however, may be damaging to the environment. We know that combustion engines are damaging to the environment, so you don't have to use the word maybe. But your literature review is very well done, and this guy's only got a 3% plagiarism similarity index, so they're all fine to proceed. Your design criteria, I feel like your design criteria could have used a bit of work. You've included a lot of criteria, which I appreciate. Yeah, you may want to just put design criteria on a separate page. But there are certain things where I think you guys could be a bit more specific with. You said it should be able to carry at least one person along with tools. It will be more useful if you said how much volume those tools will take up. You know, a number value is always more important, always more valuable than just a general statement. So you may want to say how much volume you have to incorporate into your design to be able to accommodate all the tools that you need to carry. And it has to be able to carry at least a weight of 150 kg. I just want to know, like, is this 150 kg including the weight of the vehicle itself, or is it 150 additional weight? Because if it's 150 total, I can guarantee you that the weight of your car will be more than 150. So that's just a technical term. I'm not sure what you mean by 150 kg. Possible solutions. These possible solutions were very well done. I feel like they took a lot of time in drawing up their possible solutions. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but there's 4 group members and you've done 4 possible solutions. Is that correct? Yeah, so I appreciate the extra effort that you guys have gone through. So thank you very much for doing that. A little description is always useful. So you guys have done that very well. Possible solution 1, possible solution 2, 3, and 4. Again, just formatting, make sure that the title is with the image that you're talking about, that they're all on, if you can't fit them all on one page, fit them on each one on a separate page, just to make it easier to read. Coming to evaluation. Now, this evaluation, I feel like you didn't come out with, at the end of it, with a specific answer as to which possible solution was the best one. Okay, you've done a lot of discussion and you've talked about how you evaluated, but there is no end score that tells me how good one performs against the other. If you get me? Your evaluation method, I feel could be changed. And if you want to see how that's done, I recommend going and watching the tutorial video that I did on Tuesday, because I go in depth about the evaluation. But basically, these guys have done a very good project up to this point, and I hope you guys are carrying on and doing your detailed drawings for your final solution, whatever it is. Just make sure that you clear up your evaluation matrix, evaluation process, and clearly justify why you gave each one of these scores, okay? Giving a questionnaire is fine, but you have to then justify why each one of you gave this score if you're going to use this method. Is that clear?
So your voice just cut off.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, where did it cut out?
From the share question, explain something you're saying.
From the possible solution?
From the metrics, evaluation metrics.
Oh, okay. So if you're going to use this method, you have to justify why each one of you gave this score, why this person gave this score, why this person gave this score, if you're going to use this method. Just explaining that you use the questionnaire is not enough information for us. You have to then justify, why do you think this is economical? Why do you think this is a good option for maintenance costs, so on and so forth. If you want the details, I recommend that you go back and watch my tutorial video from Tuesday, because I go in depth on in the evaluation process. But up to this point, you guys have done a pretty good job. I hope you guys are working on your detailed drawings now. So yes, thank you. I have 3 more minutes remaining in this session. I have another example that I'd like to show. If you guys would like me to continue this session for another 20 minutes, just let me know in the chat now, and then I'll end this meeting and start a new meeting. Okay, Pinaka. I'll post the link to the Viber group.